The Oruga Podcast.
Somehow somebody's always looking the other way. Now look at these guys. They look busy, right?
I want to know that what I did matters. Like,
Exactly.
I would want to be someone that invents something to help people and then have that matter instead of making pizzas for people and then not caring.
Yeah, of course. That bugs the shit out of me too, is when nobody like has an emotional... You don't have to be emotional about what you do for a living, but I would say just at least some fucking vigor for it, you know? Like, what you fucking do matters, you know? Like, what you, like... I would like to be able to wake up in the morning and be like, I gotta fucking do what I gotta do to get that paycheck and to make a fucking difference. Because if I'm just working for a fucking phone company or I'm taking calls, business calls, just on some stupid ass shit just to make a quota, I'm gonna get pissed off. Welcome to the Op. Be sure to check out Oruga's shop. We make shirts and hoodies that are comfortable and stylish. Follow @ShopOruga and visit orugastore.com. That is ORUGA store.com. Beat produced by Saipuda. Check him out at saipudabeats.com.
Like, almost like they're going to space, but they're not.
Yeah, they have the
big
original
glass
scuba
dome.
diving helmet.
Big glass dome looking.
Yes, old scuba helmet. These things.
Oh my god.
Of course you've seen these.
Yeah.
Of course you've seen these. So
Looks like there's something in SpongeBob like that. There's like a mysterious diver in SpongeBob that wears that.
and so somebody lives in one of these too.
I think so, yeah.
Neither here nor there. My point is, they would pressurize these helmets, and then you would fall, or then you would go to like the surface of the ocean.
Right.
But if you lose pressure, and you have no longer like pressure in your suit, pressure in your helmet, your entire body will be sucked up into the helmet. As you're talking about bones, you're talking about your entire internal organs, like, yeah.
That's insane.
So, like, this helmet was the regulator of pressure. And then, so, like, if you just took away the pressure, you just get immediately, you get turned into a soup.
It's insane. Have they, like, had to
Yeah, it was...
pull up soup?
Mm-hmm. So, the only reason I can factually speak about this is because I saw an episode of Mythbusters, and they tested it out. And they're like, there's no way this is real. You know, that was that's their whole ploy. Is they're like, there's no way this myth is real. And then they tested it out with a fake body dummy that had
The ballista gel?
I remember it had like they had like a similar skeletal structure, and it still had like a gel type of flesh. So like it was the closest representation that they could have without actually having a human body.
Right.
And they put it into proper pressure. They took the pressure away, and they pulled out this just soup of a helmet, and it really blew my mind. Yeah,
That's terrifying.
isn't it?
Jeez.
And I don't know how.
How do you have...
What?
Like, how are you brave enough to do that back in the day?
I just think you're ignorant. You don't have that kind of information of like
what happens when the pressure changes?
Right,
You gotta
exactly.
be an engineer to know that.
You
That's
really
classified.
exactly. It's not like the person who, and these things are old. Like I'm trying to figure out like history of it. History. Wow. Okay. So the first successful diving helmets were produced by the brothers Charlie and John Dean in 1820s.
Gee, that's a while ago.
Inspired by a fire accident he witnessed in a stable in England, he designed and penned a smoke helmet, which was later used in the ocean. Pretty cool, man. It is pretty cool. I mean, like, it's so wild. It's so wild.
I couldn't do it.
The first known diving helmet was made in the 17th century, which is fucking 1600s, dude.
I couldn't do it. Imagine the type of rumors you could spread. You could be like, I saw the Leviathan himself down there.
This is really crazy. A diving bell.
What in the world? Is that like, you know when you like put your bowl underneath in the sink and then like there's a air bubble still? Or like how there's air pockets underwater in the first place?
Yeah, of course.
I think that's what they were going for. Like they'll make their own little air pocket and then drop it in.
Yeah, probably. I would agree with you on that one.
That's crazy though.
Yeah, indeed. It is pretty wild.
You know what this makes me think of? Like how humans, like at the point we're at right now, could you imagine if we, like for example,
Look at this.
Yeah, diving. You could go off diving. Could you imagine if we just kept going with the bell technique? Like we just made a better bell every time instead of going to like subs or even the diving suits. Like we just keep going with a bell. Then we have this like we're just dropping saucers in the ocean instead of doing what we're doing now with the subs. Mm-hmm. Like we just evolved in one weird way.
But the thing I have to offer to that thought of evolving that way is that when you go down to the Marianas Trench in the Pacific Ocean, where all the volcanoes are formed, what do you do there? Like, so you do. Let's paint the scenario,
with
right?
a bell.
So you have your boat,
right,
on the surface, and then you got a mile or two of string going all the way down. Now you have to hope that string for miles isn't going to get hit by whales, isn't going to get hit by fish, that nothing's going to fuck with it.
Right.
And that the currents of the ocean are also going to break the line. So you got to make sure this line is strong as fuck. It's got to be some strong fucking steel on steel with
carbon
braids.
steel.
It's got to be braided steel too, like
diamond carbon steel.
It can't just be a tube. It can't just
Right.
be like a rope. I mean, this motherfucker's got to be braided upon braided upon braided to make sure it's got really dense steel. And then, well, I don't, whatever, line.
Right.
Whatever that means to engineers. But then, you do have the bell. Okay, so now you're in the bell. Now you're on the bottom of Marianas Trench. And you're getting lowered. Okay, but how, the bell has an open bottom still.
Right, so you're going to probably, like, burn or your feet are going to get squished.
But, okay, no, just imagine that let's go back to this bell image. You're still there, right? But then this is the opening. So imagine you do have almost like a little pond in the middle of this bell. And when you put your hand into that pond, are you about to condense your hand to pressure that you cannot would you break every single bone in your hand because you dipped your hand into the water? Because the pressure is so immense. I mean, that's the reason why those millionaires died in that sub instantly. It's because the pressure is nothing we can comprehend as humans, because we live in a place where the pressure that we have is 9.8 meters per inch.
9.8 meters per second squared.
But that's gravity. But technically per square inch we have that as well.
See, yeah.
So maybe it's not square inch, maybe it's in meters. I'm not really sure, but I remember them teaching us that as human beings we have pressure around our skin, and it's the reason why we don't implode. If we go to space and I don't know. I was always taught in physics that if you go to space, most likely your body won't hold together anymore.
Right.
Because our bodies are evolved under pressure.
Right.
We are in pressure right now. But if we go to space, there's no such thing as pressure. So our bodies will just naturally fall apart.
Looking for comfortable? Looking for comfortable and stylish apparel? Something right up your alley? Oruga has a collection for you. Monochrome features sleek black and white designs. The Workweek Thermal features pops of vibrant color. Check out orugastore.com for unique styles and streetwear.
I feel like you just get like spaced. Like for example, our spine has like, the shock absorbers in it.
Right.
What are those called? The disc?
Yeah.
So your spine has a disc in it. And right now, our spine is like technically compressed by gravity. And so when you walk and stuff, all the shock you feel, it's reduced. But if you're in space and your spine was stretched out, it might be relieving, but in the end, when you come back, things would probably be a lot more painful because you haven't been exposed to that pressure. You haven't, those shocks. You need new shocks.
Sure. I remember hearing a podcast of an astronaut explain he had the most time in space. It was like 180 days or something, 108 days or something along those lines. And there's a percentage of bone density that you lose in space. So, our bone density is created from all the pressure and all just living with all this weight, living with gravity, and exuding all that force, living on Earth. You get this certain percentage of bone density. But when you go to space, you lose percents of bone density over a period of time. What that percent is, I can't recall. But it's still unbelievable how they have to exercise, and they have to make sure that they don't lose their muscle mass and they don't lose their bone density, and they're exercising 2 to 3, 4 hours a day just on these rubber bands. Have you seen them?
I have not.
They're so
using the, what are they called? The fitness bands to
hold them down to the
equipment?
Yes.
What?
And the thing is, with the equipment, they've had to use balance stabilizers so you don't exude force to the station itself. Because if you exude force to the station itself, it could actually potentially fuck up the station.
That's crazy.
And you'll fuck up the exoskeleton of the station itself. So I was listening to this astronaut explain so you put on this chest suit, okay, and then you hook up these rubber bands that are connected to the, let's say, treadmill.
Right.
Okay, and now you're running with these rubber bands. I don't know it's as good as, human gravity, if it actually, gives you the same feel. But, they tried to get as close as possible to what the real deal is. But the thing is, they can't do too much, or it's too much pressure to the space station itself. So it's they really got to be careful. And they've had to specially engineer these treadmills and these exercise devices to make sure they don't fuck up the space station.
That's insane.
Really cool.
Could you imagine designing the space station and not knowing that exists? Our astronauts have to exercise and whatnot, and not realizing that them exercising puts the whole station at risk of being messed up.
For sure.
There's probably some other stuff they don't even think about right now. I would think of.
It's even wilder is that when you're on the space station, you have a strict schedule of what you need to accomplish. Because you're doing experiments 24/7, you're doing maintenance of the space station, and then you're making sure you do exercise to make sure you don't deplete your body, and then you get maybe an hour or two a day to yourself. maybe. And they really do have intense schedules when they're up there because, you know, they might have to moonwalk. They might have to fix some you know, equipment on the outside. And it's really intense what they have to do. Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do it. I'd rather die here in this rock.
That's crazy. Like, I don't want to do that because that seems like it sucks. That seems like it's a real exertion of what you have to do as a human being. You're really putting yourself to the limit. Because you're moonwalking, you're doing all these things to make sure you don't fucking die, and you gotta make sure that your body suits are good, and you gotta make sure that they don't even cover how long you shit in space. I mean, like, think about it. The only reason that on Earth, the only reason the poop separates from my asshole is because of gravity, right?
Right.
It's gravity that's separating me and the shit.
Right.
What do? Are you shitting in a vacuum? Is there like a little tube where you have to turn it on and
do you know how they do it?
No. No clue. Same thing with urinating, dude. What do you do?
That is interesting.
You know, they don't talk about that.
Up?
You gotta do a vacuum. You gotta do something. You have to have a vacuum to be able to like get rid of it. And they also strap themselves down when they sleep.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And so they don't float around.
That sounds kind of scary, not gonna lie.
Could
you imagine having a nightmare and then just being trapped and like,
Because the feeling of falling, it would take a while for me to get over that. Because, like, have you ever had the feeling of weightlessness and then you're having that dream of, like, falling?
Right, yeah.
That would probably plague me. Like, I would have to really work through that to be able to, like, be okay with it.
Dang. So, you're not okay with being on the elevator 100% of the time?
On the elevator?
Like, you know when you're going down the elevator and,
like,
your stomach goes up into your chest?
I really don't like that shit. No, I really hate it.
Have you been on the rides like that? Where, like, the drop tower rides?
Of course.
How do you feel about those?
Those are the worst. Those are the worst. Because all I can think about is the kids who didn't get clipped in.
Oh, no.
And who died that way. Because there's been plenty of cases of kids who don't get clipped in properly. And then because I've feared that before, of getting clipped in and, like, I don't know, that shit is so scary to me.
Man, those rides are so jank. I swear to God, their clipping system is intentional to, like, scare you or something. Because, like, they just pull down this piece of metal and it's just supposed to, like, click.
Right.
Most of the time. And they give you, like, this little janky seatbelt that's just like a book bag strap, for real.
Sure. Seriously. And then sometimes I would do that at such a young age that I was like, I barely fit in this thing. I barely fit. How am I going to do this? Like, this is ridiculous. Are we really about to admit that I remember going on one of those rides at Kings Island in Ohio, and I mean, for God's sakes, it's probably like 100-foot thing. It's probably 100-foot drop, or I don't know. Right. It feels like 10 stories, somewhere around there. And it's just so scary when you're fucking 60, 65 pounds. And, like, I was just, like, a little kid. And I was like, I have a lot of moving around room.
Right.
Like, I probably, if I really wanted to, I could probably get out.
That's terrifying.
It's so terrifying. And just the slow ascend that they fucking do to...
Oh, my God. And just, like, doof.
That is the worst. And, like...
What do you do in that instant? Like, what went through your brain when you were going down that drop tower? Do you remember? Were you still thinking about, I'm about to fly out?
So the thing is, I was with a friend who was freaking out.
I see.
And what I did, and I was like, I'm just gonna zone out and disassociate. And I just, like, kept calm. I wasn't gonna scream. You know, I didn't scream. Right. I just looked. I just, like... And I think at one point I closed my eyes. I was like, I'm not going to experience this. I'm just experiencing the feeling. I'm not going to see the sight.
Right.
And then when I got through it, I was like, I guess that wasn't so bad. But I didn't want to do it again. You know, I wasn't like, this is something I want to experience again in my life. Like,
dude,
roller coasters were fun at a young age because I had the ignorance. The ignorance of all the death and ignorance of all of how, because at a young age you're like, you know, the authority is taking care of my safety. I shouldn't have to worry about my safety. I'm a young
Right.
kid. So I didn't worry about my safety. But now as an older person, it's like, man, not everybody's a fucking genius about
Same,
safety.
right.
Yeah, because people fucking die at
Theme parks all around the world,
yeah, of course. And this country is like pretty good about it. But if you go like overseas, I'm like, of course I'm
my
not.
God.
Of course I'm not getting it.
I could not.
No, there's no way I'm gonna trust like I don't. Just to be the person who died on a theme park is because you're supposed to be happy at a theme park.
Right.
That's the whole thing about going to a theme park is having a fun time, and to die there would just be so
When I
ridiculous.
was going down the drop tower, I was like trying to breathe throughout the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, so we went up and I was like, oh, this is cool.
Sure.
I'm so high up. I don't really have a fear of heights.
Sure.
So it was like, I can see everything. This is fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then the drop came and I was like, all right, all I gotta do is just keep breathing. I can just look. Should be over in a second. But then as soon as it so it did it slowly started going down.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, it's chill.
Right,
and then
right.
as soon as they dropped it,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to breathe, all the air just left, and I tried to get air back in, try to
Okay.
breathe in, couldn't do it.
What? Really?
It was just
Was it a panic attack you were having?
no. I would say no. I don't even know. It was just the wind was moving so fast
Mm-hmm.
that it's like when you stick your head out the window
Yeah.
and you try and breathe that in, it's much harder.
You know what's crazy?
Go ahead.
This is a placebo.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
That's crazy.
Because I want to say to you, what do you think people who are skydiving do?
What do they do?
They breathe.
How?
I don't know, because I know exactly what you're feeling.
Right.
I know exactly what you're thinking is because that I used to ride bikes, I used to ride dirt bikes, I was on ATVs all the fucking time, and that feeling, even running against the wind,
Right.
will do that to me too. But I think that's my mental block.
I see.
But I don't. That's my experience. I think that's a whole placebo.
So I was trying to do it because I ran at that time.
Sure.
And I loved running in the wind because it was more oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like more oxygen, more air is getting in my lungs.
For sure.
And it made me feel like I was faster.
Okay. That's funny.
And then, so I was like, oh, this is going to be sweet. I'm going to have so much air going into my body.
Right.
I'm going to feel amazing. It's going to feel so good
Mm-hmm.
that I couldn't get any air in. I was just like,
Wow.
I don't know, explain that.
Of
My
course.
water's coming out of my eyes, just flowing out. My
Yeah.
hands were in the air, dangling. My whole body was just dangling.
Sure. Of course.
It's
Yeah.
intense.
Fuck theme parks. I used to like them as a young kid. Fuck them now. There's no way the whole experience of a theme park really pisses me off now. Just the whole walk and being in the sun and getting in lines. Nothing makes me more angry than sitting around a bunch of stinky humans because you're all sweaty. Most likely,
Right.
I'm doing this in the summer. I'm not going in the winter, And you're just around a bunch of stinky humans and you're sitting in lines and it's just like, man, I do not need this at all. In high school, grade school, fucking loved it because, it's an adrenaline rush.
Right.
And you get to kind of experience this new thing that makes you kind of sick at the end, and which is fun, super fun. But now it's like, can we
you
just
imagine working there?
No.
Just standing all day in the heat.
You know what's so crazy about Kings Island particularly?
Right.
I know so many people who find their significant other at Kings Island and then they marry them and then
Visiting the theme park and they find
working
there.
at the
I
theme
see.
park. Because my sister did that, but they're not together. But my sister dated there. I had a boss at UC who also, she married her husband from there. They dated while they were working at the theme park, and then they married later on in life. And I can't tell you how many stories I've heard that similar. It's just the tight knit the tight knit community that you get while working there. Because everybody understands it's a fucking shitty-ass job. Nobody wants this job. And you kind of get that camaraderie because of being in, a horrible situation. Right. But no, that's not a job for me. Because then like I just said, you're working with young kids a lot of the time. Because, maybe you're doing, those games where you, throw a disc or you're shooting at this target and you're trying to get a bear. Or you're doing a ride where you're like, are you tall enough? Are you heavy enough? Those kind of things. And I've had a lot of great memories there too. Have you ever gone to Disney?
I have not gone to Disney. I want to go so bad.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a good time. As an adult and as a kid, it is a really good time because you get to experience the whole environment. Everybody fucking raves about Epcot because Epcot's this multicultural theme park, and then or maybe Epcot's the future one. I really don't remember.
I've never heard of that.
Never. I honestly, I just might have talked out of my ass. But there's a lot of cool theme parks for sure. And it's really expensive. But there's a trick actually I learned that the locals of Florida actually get better deals than the people outside of Florida. So if you live in Florida, you can get cheaper tickets.
What?
To Disney. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Insane.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I'm not moving to Florida anytime soon, but it's just a little cool tidbit.
I had a coworker at Sam's Club. He wasn't a manager. That was a manager at Kings Island, and he was telling me that he got fired because he was wasting the company's hours. Because every day after his shift at Kings Island, he'd tell all of the other employees to come to the pool section at Kings Island, and it'd be an employee only little pool party when Kings Island closed. So every single day he'd start a party at the end of the shift, and all the kids would come,
all the workers.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's fucking awesome, actually.
And the reason they even caught him in the first place, they were so we noticed our water bill has gone up. Someone's been running in the water or something like that. It's pretty crazy.
That's, what he should have been fucking check leaks.
He did not care about anything, apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, that's so cool, though.
Because he knew it was a bad job. So
yeah.
It might as well.
The camaraderie, man. That's fucking awesome. I'm a big fan of that. Kahaya, you sent me a fucking wild-ass text message yesterday.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't want to talk about it?
No.
Oh, my God.
That's too crazy.
Dude, well, I'm going to dance around the subject at least because you sent me, I guess, your managers, their mugshots of what they did, right? Is that weird?
Oh, yeah, my old job, yeah.
Yeah. Fucking wild, man. I cannot believe that you were employed by them because they look like they had the bug eyes of crazy people. And I really feel like you can tell who crazy people are with their eyes of
I know. I feel like big employers literally just hire anyone.
Right.
If you're that big of a company, and you need the people at that point in time, you're going to let some stuff slide.
Oh, yeah. You need the numbers. You're not going to care about character. At a smaller company, you need a little more character and a little more, cream of the crop. But once you get to a fucking multinational, big-ass corporation, they need the numbers. They don't give a fuck about character.
The one big thing that I was thinking about was if you were a boss and you hired someone like that, they can't get a job anywhere else. Someone's in trouble with the law and they did something completely insane.
Sure.
You're okay, this guy's crazy. I'm not hiring him. Every manager thinks that. Mm-hmm. So if you hire him, he will work there the rest of his life.
Right.
He will not be able to find another job.
For sure.
He'll be the hardest worker, not cause you any problems because he knows if I lose this job, I won't be able to support myself or my family or anything. So they'll step up their game for sure.
Hopefully these people don't have families because they're doing a disservice to the human generation. But, well, at least the people at least the people who used to employ you, they're some fucking scumbags. And their mugshots deserve all the infamy that they can get. Jesus.
People do wild stuff.
And we can't even, we're not even worry about. But, So yeah, that shit's so wild to me. And that's where I'm like, I really am. In my future, I'm really trying not to live for a big ass corporation, because like I really don't find me benefiting from that. I don't find me benefiting from a cubicle. I don't find me benefiting from a big ass corporation where nobody barely knows my name besides my department. Seems like a loss to me, because like you just said, you're just gonna get fucking lost in the numbers. They need the people. They don't give a fuck about character. They don't give a fuck if you're good at your job. Do you at least finish the task, and are you at least half-assing it? As long as you half-ass it, you're getting a paycheck.
Right.
And that shit pisses me off, because nothing will dwindle my motivation than just being lost in fucking numbers.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too the other day. I was like, it's so sad that all these jobs that I've worked at, I could go back there and there won't be a single person that remembers me or anything that I've done. Even though I remember, sweeping the dining area and deep cleaning it for hours so it looks spotless, or painting something or doing something crazy. No one else will remember it but me.
Right.
I get no recognition for it. I don't get crap. If I put them as a recommendation for another job and they call, they won't know who I am. They'll be like, what are you talking about? He hasn't even worked here before.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, so sad. If I'm working somewhere, I want to at least, I want to know that what I did matters. Like,
exactly.
I would want to be someone that invents something to help people, and then have that matter instead of making pizzas for people and then not caring.
Yeah, of course. That bugs the shit out of me too, is when nobody like has an emotional. You don't have to be emotional about what you do for a living, but I would say just at least some fucking vigor for it, like what you fucking do matters, like what you like. I would like to be able to wake up in the morning and be like, I gotta fucking do what I gotta do to get that paycheck and to make a fucking difference. Because if I'm just working for a fucking phone company, or I'm taking calls, business calls, just on some stupid ass shit just to make a quota, I'm gonna get pissed off. I'm gonna be a domestic terrorist. Just kidding. But like, it really is like kind of a disservice what the social norm is of being in a cubicle. Right. I mean, like, I've been to banks before. Like, I remember my father had this cubicle job, and he took me there once, just like on a Christmas Eve, because he had to do a couple hours of work just before he could, get off for the holiday. And God bless him for that job, because man, it was such a fucking soul sucker. I mean, like, it was crazy how they like still kind of had a little bit of camaraderie in their department, but like, it's still cubicles. It's still like a little water canteen in the corner, and like everybody's like shouting over their cubicle walls, but nobody really gets to have like a normal eye-to-eye conversation.
That's crazy.
And nobody has like lunch together. Like, it was all very super separated and super dissected. And it's just kind of like, I could tell that nobody liked their job. And when nobody likes their job, it's like you can kind of just feel the air. You feel just the discontent in the whole workforce, but then you're just like, well, we gotta make the deadlines. How are we gonna pay the bills if we don't have this looming weird situation? It's
sad.
It's so sad. It's so sad.
Do you want to collect a free NFT? Well, head over to OpenSea and visit @ShopOruga to view our collections of digital art. Our most recent collection, Citation, is available now. Check it out.
I used to work at a pizza place.
Okay.
Cassano's Pizza. I'll say it loud and proud.
Cassano's?
Cassano's,
okay.
Big in Dayton.
Sure.
Have you heard of it?
Not even a little.
I see, yeah. It's mainly a Dayton thing. It's like Marion's, kind of.
Okay.
Or I think here it'd be La Rosa's in Cincinnati.
Okay.
It's kind of like La Rosa's.
Sure. It's like a little local family pizzeria. Was it
it's
franchised?
Yeah, it's more like La Rosa's. It's like
Okay.
the same thing for different name, honestly. It even tastes the same, it looks the same.
Amen to
Probably
that.
use the same ingredients.
Yeah.
For instance.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked there, and my manager was like the hardest worker,
Mhm.
the fastest worker as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "Oh yeah, she's great. She can make a 40-second pizza." I was like, "All right, I want to see it. Let's time it. Let's see it."
Right.
This lady made a 40-second pizza, but I guarantee you, if she sent that pizza out, the person would call and be like, "Hey, this isn't what I asked for. You gave me 3 pepperonis instead of covering my pizza in pepperonis. You gave me 3 pepperonis, 2 green peppers, 1
Okay.
onion. I wanted the deluxe. I
Right.
want all the toppings."
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, basically her philosophy was crazy. It was like, I need to clear the screen as fast as possible and use as little product as I can to save the company money.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It blew my mind. I was like, no. If people are coming here for the quality of the
Right.
pizza, that's what I was trying to tell her. But she was like,
Right.
no, they want a quick pizza, and I'm not going to use the full amount of toppings I can use to save money for the company, for the inventory.
Yeah.
I was like, that's insane.
That's insane. There's a Asian kind of Chipotle
Right.
next to my place, and like, you know, I'll order from them, and I'll you know do my orders, and they do not spare a single anything. Like, they throw as much food at me as they possibly can, and it's like for $10, and it's
That's
like.
wild.
That's the reason why I fucking go, is because when I ask for a couple peppers, I want a full fucking pepper. If I ask for rice, I better get a decent amount of rice. Rice is cheap.
Right.
Don't be a fucking cheapskate. And yeah, that drives me up the wall when they're like, quality is not as good as quantity.
Right.
Because you're not, once you philosophize for quantity, you're not going to get that quantity. Because they're going to taste that quantity, and they're going to taste like, this is fucking shit. This is shit pizza. This is shit food. Why the fuck would I ever come back? Yeah, I couldn't believe that anymore. Then, of course, quality is more. But that's the kind of age that we live in right now. Is like
Everything's fast.
fast.
Literally.
And everybody in this fucking world, or everybody in the United States of America, lives a fast fucking life. You know, everybody's waking up. I gotta go. I gotta hit the highway before rush hour and blah blah blah. And just
It's the whole culture.
only got an hour for lunch, and I'm not gonna have lunch with anybody else besides myself. And I might eat in the car. And the amount of people who eat in their car makes me sad. When people don't, like, I get it. People don't want to eat in restaurants anymore after 2020. You know, they just kind of still like having that ripple effect of social distancing, and people still really aren't comfortable being in like big social settings. Totally get it. But just for the amount of times I see people eating alone in their car, and their car's on,
It's wild.
and it's like, man, you're just wasting gas. You're fucking killing the ozone layer, and you're eating in your car alone and depressed and sad, and you're probably listening to a shit podcast. What are you doing?
Listening to our podcast.
And it's like, that shit I just don't get. I don't get why people do that to themselves. And I understand, you know, sometimes it's hard to get out of a certain groove. Sometimes it's hard to self-improve your life. Sometimes it's hard to just bust out of that cycle. But man, I just really hope some people do bust out of that cycle, because I see a lot of depressed motherfuckers that are getting affected by this quick lifestyle.
Yeah.
This quick lifestyle is anxiety filling, you know, and like the older generation doesn't really know how to like manage it either, because I see a lot of the older like I'm talking about 55 and above.
Right.
They're addicted to their cell phones. They're addicted to Facebook. They're addicted to TV. It's just like, and they don't know how to regulate, and neither does our generation.
Right.
Our generation's just as addicted, because they see the parents, they see the people who are supposed to be morally leading us just as addicted as we are. And it's like, we're only spiraling as a nation, only spiraling as a culture, because of just all this quick fads and quick buys and impulse buys.
Yep.
And what can I do quickly to make me feel good? And it's like, oh, you're missing the whole fucking point of what life is.
Even with like that sub, like when the sub finally imploded,
Okay, but yeah.
they already had memes out, like, as soon as that news broke through, breaking news, they already had memes. It was too fast. Everyone was on it. Even fashion, everything's fast.
Yeah.
I heard one meme the other day. It was like, hey, I know a billionaire that... No, it was like this. It was like, I wonder if there's a billionaire that has the balls to get in a submarine and explore. If they did that, they'd be brave. And they're like trying to like make jabs at Elon.
Sure.
And that's like trending right now. It's crazy.
Did you know space is more explored than the ocean floors?
Yeah, I heard something about that, yeah.
Isn't that wild?
It's nuts.
And not to be a fucking kooky, tinfoil hat person, but aliens have been more and more prevalent. Like, I saw this, like, I was on YouTube and I saw news in, like, Phoenix or something. I really don't remember, like, where it was, but it was just, like, this local news channel who was reporting people... this local news channel was reporting a community that all is convinced that there was alien sightings in people's backyards. And, like, an entire street of people, like, they were, like, starting to separate them and start, like, doing individual interviews. Right. And, like, they really tried to be, like, non-biased, and they really tried to, like, you know, like, not...
Make sure no psychology gets in the way.
I guess so. And they, like, you know, they didn't lead them anywhere. They're like, what happened? And each individual was like, we saw an 8-foot being in our backyard. And they probably had, like, 40 or 50 people saying the same fucking shit. And it was so crazy. And like... It was just so wild to see a whole community of people. I mean, like, these people had no financial incentive. Right. It's not like, you know, like, probably, you know, a few of them, I could imagine 1, 2, 3, maybe even 5 people being like, this is our story, let's try to get on the news. Right. But a whole fucking community convinced is wild. And that's where I put my tinfoil hat on, is like, you know, we don't explore our oceans. We really don't. And I'm really kind of curious.
What's down there for real?
What's down there for real? For real.
Some paper people, some thin people.
That's, you know, but that's the thing. You know, 1/3 of Earth is land.
Right.
2/3 is fucking water. That's a lot of fucking land.
That is.
That's a lot of fucking square footage. That's like, I mean, we're talking about just ocean floor is 2/3. Right. We're talking about a lot of fucking square footage in the ocean too. And
I might start buying some ocean land real quick.
That'd be sick. You know what I've always wanted? This is like my dream home, is to have a lake.
Right.
All right. Just like, you know, obviously on the surface, you know, like a, you know, little plot, but then you get into like, I kind of like want a bunker house where, like, yeah, of course there's like the surface part of the house, but then you go underneath down and, you know, you go into the basement and you go maybe like 10, 15, 20 floors down, and having a room with a window to see into the lake.
That's pretty crazy.
And I know there probably is issues with drowning. Like, imagine the glass breaks in my... and it just fills up my basement or that room. That would be scary. And I've mentally thought how I'll deal with this problem. But it would be so fucking cool to be able to have a room where the window is the lake. And to be able to see the sky go through the lake.
Oh my God,
and then you can see all the fish and all the things that are in the lake. Oh, gosh, I want that so desperately.
I mean, aquariums do exist, so I don't think it'd be too crazy.
Yeah, of course.
It can't be too hard.
It can't be too hard. And, I mean, like, you know, with time, you're probably going to have scuba divers clean the window probably every other year, and you're probably going to have like drains in the basement itself, where,
right.
You know,
or
like,
in the lake.
Yeah,
like
I guess
some
like
circulation or something.
Oh yeah, for sure. Fountains. Fountains are a good circulation for lakes. Like, so yeah, aeration. If you have a constant aerator, or like 2 or 3 of them, that constantly is pumping air, it's good for the fish, it's good for the algae, it's good for everything. And yeah, that's my goal, man, to be able to see some fish as I'm like chilling in my bunker. I'm like, fuck, man, that's sick.
That's funny.
That dream, I've had it since I was a little kid. I've always wondered, because I went to the Newport Aquarium in Kentucky, and the Newport Aquarium's like pretty cool. It's got like a walkway of a glass tunnel.
Dude, I went there as a kid too. I go there all the time. That's like my favorite part of the aquarium.
It's the glass tunnel.
It's the dopest part.
Yeah. Gosh, it's so fucking cool too.
It's on the floor too, isn't it? At some parts.
Really, the glass is beneath you?
Yeah.
I don't remember that shit.
Yeah.
Really?
There's a part too where the glass is underneath you. I think it's in the alligator one too as well.
Mm-hmm. And then you're walking over the shark tanks too at the end.
God,
that's
that
scary.
Used to scare me so bad as a kid.
Because it's a height scare, and then it's also what if this breaks?
You know what I do now?
What? Tell me.
I swing my body on that rope whenever I go over it, and like all the little kids just start freaking out.
You're such a bad parent. You're gonna be a bad parent.
So funny.
It's so horrible. Because I can imagine me crying as a little kid. I remember.
My parents had to carry me out. I was too scared.
Dude, I literally kid you not. When I was I was probably 5 or 6, and my mom took me for the first time to the aquarium, and we were taking a photo in a. Somehow they preserved at the aquarium this jaw of a shark, and it's got all of its teeth, and they do photo ops in it. And shout out to the op.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. But while you're taking this photo, you're in this mouth, and I remember while in the photo, I was 6 years old, and my mom's holding me, and we're getting a photo, and I was crying. So I was we're about to die. We're dying.
Wow. You're trying. I have a picture like that too in my living room at my parents' house.
Really?
In the jaws.
It's so traumatic to this. That still gives me a little of a feeling of
I don't know where. I think it was. Does Kings Island have dinosaurs? Somewhere?
I think so.
There was some
I think
park that my parents took me as a kid, and there was a dinosaur screeching, yelling, roaring.
Sure. Yeah.
And it scared the crap out of me as a kid, and I just kept screaming no, don't take me here, I don't want to go. And we didn't go because I was so terrified of that dinosaur.
That's hilarious.
That thing was huge, and I had an obsession with dinosaurs at that point in time. But then I saw it in real life, and I was like, nah. This ain't it.
I think your ancestors died from a dinosaur.
Probably.
That's so crazy. Yeah, I was I went through a dinosaur phase too. I think as a young boy, if you don't go through a dinosaur phase, man, you're really missing out in life, because that dinosaur phase I was heavy in. I was reading the books. I was I had the posters. I had the toys.
Figures,
I was watching the documentaries on them, and all those documentaries were probably fake news, and they probably changed the history now of how they look or how they sound, but I was really big into dinosaurs as a young kid. It's so funny how dinosaurs were only discovered in the 1820s, 1830s. What?
It's wild.
What? That we only now kind of figured it out. I mean, maybe 2,000 years ago we knew, but
they put them together and you know what they were. People, there's a lot of bones. I feel they thought they were giants. They had to have thought they were giant people.
Find dinosaurs. 1677 is the first fossil in Europe. Wow, that's way earlier. The
that's
Megalosaurus.
Still not early enough. Jeez.
No. That's wild. What does the Bible say about... Stop.
They would have said they're giants for sure.
According to the Bible, dinosaurs have must have been created on the 6th day. Can you go fuck yourself?
What?
Stop it.
It took them 7 days to do it?
Well, the 7th day, God rested.
6 days. That's pretty impressive.
They can go fuck themselves. I can't believe people actually take Genesis literally now. It's so wild to me that people don't I am so deeply embedded in the idea that Earth is a fucking couple billion years old.
What if their measurements of time are different than ours? We just didn't know. I mean,
one
day is a million years for God.
Well, God's outside of time.
Exactly. But he put it in terms of our time, or a time, some sort of time.
Sure. We experience. I don't know. This is a heavy debate right now because I find our perception of time is super slow. That's my thought of like. I mean, we're on this Earth, and Earth is constantly changing. The weather patterns are constantly changing. The ocean's constantly changing. Nature's constantly changing. The fact that we just experience time so slow. I find it so fascinating that we have to sleep. Sleep is such a weird thing to me that we have to put our bodies on a shelf and like rest and recalibrate every day. And that's 6 to 8 hours if you're a healthy human being. That's every fucking day you're doing that. And 8 hours times by a lifetime, that's like
a lot.
That's a fucking third of our life we're just sleeping away. And it's really unbelievable to me. And even while I'm awake, I'm not perfectly awake. Like the first hour I'm awake, I'm fucking useless.
Right.
The last hour that I'm awake, I'm just trying to wind down to sleep. So it's really like this prime time of the day is like such a small window. And this existence that we live is such a small window of existence too. It's like 2,000 years ago, barely any time compared to Earth. Apparently, Julius Caesar was around, and the Roman Empire was around, and nobody even touched the Americas from Europe. Nobody from Europe even knew that the Americas existed. All of that stuff just blows my mind. And 2,000 years ago is not long. I mean, for God's sakes, it's really not that long ago. And the fact that our culture is so desperately worried about this current moment, it's just hilarious to me. It's really insane to me that we don't have this, maybe a little bit of a nuance, maybe a little bit of hey, history kind of goes in these cycles. Maybe we should understand the cycle and kind of be part of the cycle instead of just letting life happen to us day to day.
I think it's news. I think it's the news outlets that make it this way.
Mm-hmm. The power and control, too, for sure.
There was a tweet I saw about the sub. Okay. Apparently, so the sub happened. It's breaking news right now. But then there was a ship going to Greece that had a couple hundred people on it. And it flipped over. And everyone that went to go rescue the people in Greece that were trying to get to Greece, they were immigrants.
Okay.
Is that the right word? That's when they get there. They were fleeing the country. They're fleeing countries from war.
Okay.
And they got on the boat, flipped.
To go to Greece.
Yeah, to go to Greece.
Okay, for...
People that helped them got in trouble.
By
prosecuted.
Who?
Probably Greece. Because they don't want them there, No one wants people to come to the country.
That's so sad.
And then, that barely scratched the news. And now, for the 6 millionaires, there are crews of people working to figure out what happened, and it's breaking news. And it's wow, you value these 6 millionaires over the 700 people that are struggling to live, that are poor. It's is it because of the money? What is this about?
I think it's the lore, right? Because immigrants fleeing a desolate country is not a new thing. Right. That's a thing that's been around for time and time again. But these wealthy people who can afford... Were they really billionaires?
I think they were pretty rich, yeah. They're millionaires. All of them were probably millionaires.
It was $200,000 a ticket was their thing, right?
I saw another video and it was breaking that down in a very stupid way in my opinion, but they broke it down to where if we had millions of dollars, $200 million, $250,000 would be an iced tea with a bagel.
For the average American.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's nothing really for them. Nothing crazy.
Well, that's the thing about maybe these people earn their wealth through themselves, through their lifetime. But a lot of millionaires and billionaires accumulate their wealth through generational wealth.
Right.
And that's a really that's a subject you really got to dance around, because I mean that's a really complicated subject on, do we keep generational wealth with the families, or do we highly tax it, to
make them put in some effort to keep that
right, or just the fact that like you probably should earn your living,
right.
Just nobody should be given a free ticket.
I agree.
And over history, we've always persecuted people who don't work for a living, or like in history, we don't look at people fondly of who
have a silver spoon,
right, and who've always had the silver spoon,
right.
because what do they do for that silver spoon? Nothing. It's just a birthright, and usually they have no respect for that money, and usually they have no respect for other people who don't have money. That's the cliche. Is that real? Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is. But man, I don't know. I really am. I'm totally for people going on subs if they want to. I'm totally for
even Elon. You would let Elon go on that sub?
I don't give a fuck. He's his own human being. We should never judge how they want to spend their dollar unless it's hurting other human beings.
Right.
And they didn't hurt other human beings. They just wanted to experience some history, which I'm totally with. I mean, imagine if you're like a crackpot and you're like, I just need to know if the Titanic was a real thing, and you go check it out and you're like, it's fucking right there. Yeah, of course it. But even if millionaires want to go to space, they should be fucking allowed to go to space. Or if they want to go to Mars, who are we to stop them? They're making history. And for them to go to the Titanic to see the wreckage, I mean, they're exploring some land underneath the ocean. I'm totally for that. We haven't explored our oceans. We might as well have these fucking millionaires be the pioneers of exploring our oceans.
Could you imagine if
on their dollar? Go ahead. Sorry.
Could you imagine seeing Elon, Mark, and Jeff Bezos get strapped up to a spaceship, or get in a spaceship and get sent to space, and someone sabotages it because they want to kill the richest people in the world, something crazy like that?
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
I bet they think about that all the time too. I bet they think. I heard a rumor. This isn't it's not a legit thing, but Mark Zuckerberg, or not Mark Zuckerberg. Who's that other guy? Who's
Jeff
the guy?
Bezos?
No. Who owns Microsoft? Who did own Microsoft?
What's his name?
Should I look him up? I guess I have to.
Bill Gates?
Bill Gates.
Yeah.
So Bill Gates, they were I really don't know where I remember this source, but I remember they were talking about Bill Gates' home, and he had an emergency submarine on his coastal home. An emergency submarine to leave his property if he ever needed to. Yeah.
What the heck?
And did you know that cartels use submarines to bring in drugs in America?
Heard about that.
And so some of the cartels will, it's a touchy subject too, but some of the cartels will literally arm themselves like militaries.
Right.
I mean, they have enough capital to be able to really well equip themselves. They got tunnels on the South American border from Mexico to America. They got smuggling tunnels, but they also fucking got submarines, because there's a lot of decommissioned submarines that they can buy for a good deal. Right. From the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union has no interest in, the uplifting of America.
Right.
So, of course, they don't give a fuck who they sell it to, as long as it doesn't affect them. So, yeah, these cartels are really just well-funded militaries. It's really kind of terrifying. I mean, it's really, that goes to the full circle of nobody moves crystal in the South Valley besides me.
That's crazy.
But yeah, dude, it is I love that clip. That clip it's a clip of Thanos. It's the ending of Endgame.
Oh my god.
And it's, Thanos with the Infinity Crystal. Yeah, Infinity Stones, and, it's also from Breaking Bad, that, I don't remember that guy's name.
Tuco.
I
think his last name is Salamanca or something like that.
Such a fucking iconic. I gotta listen to it one more time.
Oh
it's
my
just
God,
so fucking. Guy. It's so fucking funny, dude.
There's a like a spin-off about the lawyer.
Give me one moment.
All right, go ahead.
Booyah! Wow! this kicks like a mule with his balls wrapped in duct tape. Wow! tight, yeah! Tight! Blue, yellow, pink. Whatever, man, just keep bringing me that. I don't even know who you are. Damn, man, look at that, look! I knew it. Nobody moves crystal in the South Valley but me, bitch!
This man's weak right now.
That is so funny. Oh my god. Sorry, and that tickles me in such a great way. Go ahead. What?
So there's a spin-off series about the lawyer named Saul Goodman.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And the show's called, I don't even know what it's called. Something Saul.
Better Call Saul.
Yeah, Better Call Saul. So, he's in it. Tuco's in it. And these bikers that are trying to, like, get insurance claim money, drive in the cars, and, like, make it seem like they got hit. So they did it to Tuco's mom on accident. And then she brung them to his house. And then the kids were like, this biznatch just ran us over. And he's like, what'd you call my mom? Did you just call my mom a biznatch? Shit, crazy.
What's a biznatch?
I don't even know.
Okay.
He ended up breaking both their legs. It's crazy. Brutal. Could you...
Nobody talks to my mother like that in the South Valley.
I still use that term when someone cuts me off on the highway, like, you biznatch.
I gotta look what that word means. Imagine if that's like a big racial slur.
Oh no, I'm screwed. I'm screwed. No. Oh no.
I'll have to look up Urban Dictionary, I guess. Urban Dictionary.
Let's do like Breaking Bad. Biznatch.
Biznatch.
Oh god. Biznatch. Not everyone will know.
No, it's literally I'm trying to find it, but I can't find it.
Alright, I'm on the Reddit. Okay, it means the B word basically.
Bitch?
Yeah.
Yeah, you son of a biznitch. That's funny. That's really crazy.
Is that what it is in Spanish? Or no?
I don't think so. No, I got nothing. I have no idea. That's fascinating though. Alrighty, Kahaya. I think I'm gonna have to call it. Alright, thank you for listening. This has been the Oruga Podcast, the op. Check us out on Twitter at shoporuga.com, or just at shoporuga. But if you want some merch, please get some merch. We got some lovely merch. Our shirts are nice, I promise. Orugastore.com, ORUGA store.com, and that's about it, man. That's all I got. You got anything? You want to do any promos?
I don't have anything to promote, sadly. Not yet.
It's because you're a broke boy. Anyways.
Kroger, please sponsor us. I need to buy groceries.
I need to pay my bills. Please sponsor me. Bye-bye.
And we got to be ready.
Visit orugastore.com today and enter the discount code OP15 for 15% off your order on all Oruga merch. Free shipping for orders over $50 is available as well. Thank you. The Oruga Podcast.
Somehow somebody's always looking the other way. Now look at these guys. They look busy, right?